5, 6, 7, 8.
Morning. Good morning. Welcome back to school. I hope you had a phenomenal summer. I'm Matt Ryan, the principal at East Hartford High School. Over this past summer, I spent a lot of time on the couch, recovering from shoulder surgery. I had shoulder surgery June 20th. I was not allowed back in the building until August 19th. I'm still married. Besides driving my wife and kids a little crazy, I spent hours watching TikTok, searching for inspirational videos to share at our upcoming faculty meetings. All I found were negative memes. I found many videos, but few were keepers, very few. But I also watched a lot of the Olympics in Wimbledon. I'm sure you watched the Olympics as well. And one of my big takeaways from the Olympics was that there's this real power in teams. Men's and women's basketball teams putting egos aside to win the gold. Men's and women's gymnastics teams focus on individual strengths in the team competition and both medaled. Even seemingly individual sports where medalists succeeded, immediately after medaling, the athlete would run and hug a coach or a parent. And in their interview, they would reference their team of supporters, acknowledging a group effort. I want to thank Dan O'Brien and of course our band students for their efforts over the last few weeks. Another team, our marching band. Give it up for them. They did a great job as they prepped today. We have several speakers lined up for you today. Our staff speaker is Ryan Jalbert, the health and physical education teacher at Goodwin. He was recently named Connecticut's Adapted Physical Education Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. You'll also hear from our outstanding speaker, incoming senior, Oswaldo Guzman, and finally, East Hartford Public Schools Superintendent Thomas Anderson. But first, it is my pleasure to introduce East Hartford Board of Education Chairman, Tyron Harris.
Good morning, East Hartford. Y'all ready? Awesome. So good morning. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to a brand new school year. To get us started, here's a little joke. Why do teachers wear sunglasses to school? Why? Because their students were so bright. Get it? Look, I am excited for the brilliant year ahead and can't wait to see all the amazing things we'll accomplish together. As we embark onto a new school year, I call on each of you to bring your passion, dedication, and creativity into the classroom. You are the heart of the East Hartford community. Let's foster an environment where every student feels supported and empowered. This year, let's not just stick to curriculum, let's go beyond. Let's ignite the love for learning, build a community of respect and kindness, and equip our students with the skills they need to thrive in an ever-changing world and in America. I know that you're going to face challenges ahead, but I want to plant this one seed. If you remember anything from my speech this morning, is that every lesson you teach, every challenge you help students overcome, and every bit of encouragement you offer fuels the journey of discovery and growth for our students. So together, we can make this school year one of the best yet. So let's go start. Thank you, everyone. Have a successful school year. And it's my job to introduce our Ryan Gelbert.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Jalbert, health and PE teacher at Goodwin School, and it's an honor to be here with all of you today. Last week, I had the privilege of traveling to Hawaii for professional development, and let me tell you, it was quite the powerful and moving experience. While I was in Maui, I got to see how schools blend Hawaiian culture into their daily learning. One standout moment was watching makahiki games being practiced in PE class. For those of you that are not familiar, makahiki is an ancient Hawaiian New Year celebration that lasts from November through February. It's a time where people could rest, strengthen their bodies, and feast. So in this time of peace, natives participated in sports and Hawaiian games that are still practiced on the islands today. Keeping these games alive has become a powerful way to connect younger generations with their heritage. My visit coincided with the one-year anniversary of the devastating wildfires that ripped through the city of Lahaina. I saw firsthand the strength and resilience of the Maui community as they're still recovering from this disaster. Educators there stepped up, providing not just academic support, but emotional strength. Their dedication embodies the Hawaiian spirit of aloha, not just a greeting, but a deep respect and love that's infused into every interaction. This experience was a powerful reminder that education extends beyond academics. Here at East Hartford, our commitment to supporting students socially and emotionally reflects many of the same characteristics that I've seen in Hawaii. Our work embodies the aloha spirit through various community focuses and initiatives. For example, our learner engagement and attendance program has played a crucial role in building relationships with families. These personal connections help parents feel comfortable reaching out for support, which is essential when they are faced with challenges. We see our commitment in action through the work we do in the community. Back to school rallies, backpack giveaways, free haircut events. We bring excitement to neighborhoods with team building challenges, hosting foam parties. We even got a chance to sit down and play some video games with our students. You ever get lapped by a kindergartner in Mario Kart? Let me tell you, it's quite the humbling experience. This is a testament to how East Hartford supports the whole child. These activities not only engage students, but help them feel valued and prepared for the upcoming school year. Our efforts to reach out to families and share community resources show how deeply we value our connections. Parents appreciate when we step into their neighborhoods and make them feel a part of our extended family. A special shout out to Melanie Bridges for the amazing connections that she has made with these families, and Michelle Texador, our district LEAP coordinator, for her support and guidance through our work. These are just a few members of a much larger team that have been doing so much for our students this summer. In Hawaiian tradition, the value of ohana, meaning family, is fundamental. Here in East Hartford, we embrace the concept of ohana when we create environments where every student feels included, respected, and supported. Let's build on this. Taking this principle to heart, how can we further embrace the value of ohana to make every student feel that they're an integral part of our community? By promoting this sense of belonging and respect, we empower our students to achieve their very best. Together, let's ignite a future where every student's success is our greatest achievement. Thank you. Now, I would like to introduce our student speaker, Oswaldo Guzman.
Hello everyone, my name is Oswaldo Guzman and I'm a senior at East Hartford High. I would like to start off by congratulating all the teachers and staff of East Hartford Public Schools for making it possible for me to attend and perform at such a prestigious ceremony. You all in some way have motivated myself to become not just a better student, but a better person. I can wholeheartedly say that the years I spent at East Hartford High have not been in vain. They have been some of the funnest and most important years of my life. High school is not just a place where students come to further their education, but it's also a place where you go through different experiences and relationships that help shape the person you become. Although the teachers and staff may not realize it, every interaction you have with students, as small as they may be, can leave a lasting impression on all of us. During my junior year, I was kept busy with sports all year round, as well as the rigorous classes I had that year. This meant that I didn't always have time to study for my math test. The math class I was taking at that time, pre-calculus, got a lot more difficult in my second semester. In my second semester, I had indoor and outdoor track, and I didn't always have time to study for my math test. I noticed that in my second semester, every period I would have a study hall would usually be the same period that my math teacher, Mr. Krause, didn't have had a free period. I asked him during one of these study halls if it would bother him if I could study in the same room he was doing his work in. He said he didn't have a problem with it, and he wrote me a pass from my study hall. Every day before a math test, I would always leave my study hall to go and study for the test I would have later on in the day. And every day, Mr. Krause was always available and keen on helping me. Mr. Krause would always help, no matter how much work he had, or no matter how busy he was. And with his help, I was able to get an A or higher on most of the tests in the second semester of the year. I'm the kind of student that may need to hear a teacher explain something a variety of times before I fully understand it. And Mr. Krause always had the patience and dexterity to put it with my energetic personality and to help me understand any topic in his class. I have noticed that this is a characteristic that is universal among all the teachers and staff here at East Hartford High, that they are willing to help you understand any topic so long as you're willing to listen. And these topics don't just have to be just about school. A variety of the teachers and staff here at East Hartford High have also helped me to understand life lessons that I will never forget, such as the ones taught to me by coaches Mark Brown and Mr. Vendetti. They have, throughout my years in high school, taught me what it takes to be a student athlete and how they encouraged me to not only try my best on the field and on the track, but in my academics. The training and practices can be difficult, but my coaches have always emphasized how important discipline and dedication is to whatever you are doing. That with great sacrifice comes great rewards. And I'm without a doubt that these important messages have not been lost on any student athlete that comes through East Hartford High. I would also like to shout out my guidance counselor, Ms. Schlatt, who's over there in the back, probably, for putting up with all my ridiculous questions and always looking for the best opportunities to aid me in my future. I appreciate how passionate you are towards helping all of us students reach success. I want to thank all of you for giving me your attention and time, and I want to thank all of you for your contributions and efforts toward a better East Hartford Public Schools. Have a great year. And now it is my honor to introduce Superintendent Anderson.
Good morning. I have to adjust the mic because I was going to go after Mr. Jalbert first because we're about the same height, but then I figured we'd rather hear from Oswaldo in between. So first, I want to thank our board chair for taking time to be here this morning, but also one of our other board members is here, Ms. Murchison, as well. And if there are any other board members that snuck in, definitely want to appreciate their support over the past year and going into the future, making sure that we continue to be supported, getting certain resources that we need to kind of move forward. It's always a great opportunity to hear about and hear from the people that the decisions that are being made impact. And having a student, having someone like Oswaldo here, I know he shouted out a couple of specific names, but I know if you think back educationally, period, whether it was in East Hartford or someplace else, we think about what we need to do to share with our teachers and others in the world that we're in, because things continue to be a challenge for us all. And the theme of, and thank you, Mr. Ryan, for hosting us this morning, and his theme with teamwork and those type of things. I watch a lot of the Olympics too. I have one of my little slides when I share in a few minutes, but I do have to say, yes, teamwork worked well for some, but that 4x1 men's team really has to get it together. So we'll continue, maybe Mr. Brown can offer some suggestions to them about what they can do. But seriously, when we think about teamwork and compassion and dedication, those are the themes that we have. And this morning I'll touch on a few things, and just I always believe in visualizing and having the pictures, because as we know, the picture speaks 1,000 words, but I think these days pictures speak more than just that. And just looking at our perspective, I used this last year, and I'm probably going to use it again next year. I think we need to continue to reiterate and continue to think about what is it that we do. We welcome our new team of staff. So again, each year, being able to celebrate, welcoming them into East Hartford Public Schools and really showing this is how we do work. This is the East Hartford way. Welcoming individuals who are in new roles. Some are new to the team, some have just made some shifts. But each time, again, in full transparency, I learned this from when I was a principal in Maryland, the superintendent over the first 4 or 5 years. He was there for a while. Never really shared much about himself as a person, just because, we're always about business, and you get to there, we're not always thinking as we should, but we tell everybody else, oh, let us know how you're doing and these type of things. So I think in his year 6, he started doing some things where he'd share a little bit of personal pictures. I shared a little bit last year, and we never really have the opportunity. We may pass each other if I visit in the hallway. I'm not going to interrupt your classrooms. And I want to say that to everyone now. When I come in, it's great when people acknowledge you, but I always think it's such a challenge. I remember as a teacher, someone walks in and you've gotten the class on task. I don't want you interrupting. So I don't want to be that interruption. I know it's harder when we visit the elementaries because, the pre-K, kindergartners, first graders, it's a prime opportunity. But I did want to share that because I'm humbled to be able to go in to begin with and to be able to see the work taking place. And so we don't have an opportunity to have certain conversations. So I wanted to share, our summers, we think about who our drivers are. And for those of you, the one in the pink with Layla, those are the sprinkles, I think it is, in the museum. There's an ice cream museum in Chicago, so I'll share that. But just when we think about what our drivers are, what we do in the summer, we made a few trips. We had the graduation in the spring with Hunter, who's home now. He has a job in Charlotte lined up, but he wants to find a better job in the next couple of weeks so he can make more money. So we have those conversations about what the reality is about when you start off, how much money you think you should make versus what you're really going to get paid. Oh, it was very exciting, and touching on him for a second, because he had an injury in the fall. That's where he did a 5th year, and had an injury to his knee, second day of fall baseball practice. So fast forward, we get to the season this past spring, and we're at the senior event. He'd already started doing really well, which is great. But the coach finally said it out of his mouth that it was the second worst injury he had ever seen. And so at that time, we didn't really know if he, walked correctly, let alone be able to play baseball and come back and be at full strength. So this past season, he had 7 home runs, had countless. It was just a great opportunity. It's great for me to be a parent to say, hey, yes, he hit some home runs. However, the life lesson was he stuck it out. He really worked hard. He did everything that was needed academically and athletically. And I told him, I said, honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to sit there knowing I'm not 100% and you could play and you're not playing. So when we think about who we are and what drives us, it makes it where in the world that we're in this space and what we share, there's a lot that goes in. We all deal with individual things as human beings, as families. And I think we always should be mindful of that. Always take it it's coming from a good place. And again, just traveling, you get to some of these favorite places. I have to go to Memphis again this weekend. There's other reasons, but we've been there for drop-off last week, and I love the heat. But when it's 95 at 8 o'clock in the morning, it is a little less to be desirable. So it can be a little different. And just one other thing, because I think we probably should invest in Target at this point. I thought it was going to be cheaper with the daughter this year, and it seemed like it added up to be the same thing it was the first year. And the other thing about, I only have a little bit of stuff. The one on the right with a shed, it's never a little bit of stuff. That was a second trip. It's a good thing I rented the SUV that she emphatically said that we needed. And I was like, no, we just need to get a car. Yeah, now I know why. So again, I share those things because again, it's it is what drives us. It's those things that make us feel most proud. Each of you, I'm sure, if we came up and you had something to say, we all have great experiences, moments, memories that we've made this summer or from the past where we want to share about those who are closest to us. Yep, I'm always going to share those things, whether they're in first place, second place, or last place. So all of the anti-Cowboys people, you can send out your memes and those things. That's fine. They'll win at some point. And again, the track and field piece, the Olympics was a great opportunity. You were able to see a lot of the great stories beyond just track and field. And I think it really pulls people together as a country, as a large community where we can celebrate sport and other things that come out of it and really appreciate what's going on. I didn't know there was a museum of ice cream, but we went while we made a quick visit back to the neighborhood when we lived in Chicago. And again, one of those favorite things, but if you go there, it's actually pretty good. When we think of inspiration, so again, just visuals, and we think of, okay, well, what is this? What's the purpose? There really is no purpose. It's just getting our mind thinking about, well, what is it? What does it mean? Why is the slide in there? Thinking about where we are today. Being very appreciative of those of you that made East Hartford your home, made East Hartford your choice to be here every day during your lives. And that is something to be commended. So again, just running through a few things as far as our core beliefs, our Pride in 5 as we evolve and continue to push with those, elevating into identifying what our 5 goals would be, pulling from the Pride in 5, being more specific, narrowing it down, having an action plan. We need to make sure we're being clear, we're measuring what's most important, and where's the level of accountability. And I want to share this because accountability isn't about someone's job. Accountability isn't about a suspension or a detention or writing someone up. It's we're accountable to one another. And what does that look like? Well, we have to define what we're willing to put forth to be accountable to our neighbors next door to us, across the hall, or across town in another school. So what do we define that to be? We know what everyone else defines it for us, and we know that there are certain things that we have to follow. However, how do we define it individually? I think as we go into this year and each year, really think about what that means. I was going to celebrate again. I thought that was a good picture because you see the guys on the roof working. So that's at the middle school. All the projects that are continuing to take place. So under Jim Ravesi, being supported by, as a facilities director, and Tia Kalani in the finance office, making sure these things that were laid out have continued. We do apologize. There was a little bit of interruption this summer because we had to use certain buildings for summer programming, but that was just this summer, so it won't happen every year. But I think when we get back to our buildings and really thanking our building service crews for what they've done all summer, I want to make sure that they feel it. So at this point, join me in giving them a round of applause for all the work that they've been doing. Because everything's all well and good, and we don't want to talk about the things that boilers and roofs and windows until the boiler doesn't work and it's January, or the roof is leaking and it's leaking all over our stuff on our desk, or the windows don't close. That's when it really jumps out to us. We're really beginning to appreciate the work that goes into maintaining our buildings and upgrading them every day. Make sure when we go back and we see the teams of building service workers that we have, we do express that level of appreciation to them. Again, more of the work that they did and continuing to do even over the next couple of days. We continue to build our partnerships, and this is one organization that is on Burnside Avenue Night. It's very close to the middle school. And again, there are several organizations in town, but they had reached out, and so I just kind of highlighted them for a second because there's a lot of work that they want to do with our students in terms of just focusing on after school discipline, teaching them more of what it takes to build a resume in middle school age. What is that going to mean to you later? And from their perspective, really sharing from the African diaspora, just the making sure students are more knowledgeable about the continent itself. So again, just some of our partners being able to reach out, and there are several others that we won't get into, but just highlighting them because they are here in town. Again, the backpack rally prep, tremendous job again. For those that went into filling, there were lots of support, volunteering that goes out, which speaks to the level of support from the overall community. Again, just some summer engagement. Sometimes they may not look terribly excited, but there was some excitement going on there. And all hands on deck, we had all of our ESY programming and some other programming at the O'Connell campus. So I'll express my appreciation to Greg Fox because I know it was a little bit of a change having everybody at his building during the summer, but I think the teams really came together with special education, with the administrative team there, with the other programs that existed. So I think that hopefully in the summer we'll be able to get to spreading it back out, but I think it was a very good learning experience to see what could happen pulling everybody into one campus. College boot camp, I was able to see this again this summer, and because something jumped out to me and I met with all the seniors who had been in East Hartford for the duration of their academic careers this past spring. And there were a couple comments just about college readiness and those type of things. And so it's encouraging to see that we're already taking care of what their expectations are. So students are doing applications. We know that the FAFSA has been an interesting situation over the last year. Hopefully it's better this year, but we know that it's still being delayed. We want to make sure students understand that what early action is and early decision. We know that early decision in November is when a lot of the merit money goes out. We want to make sure our students, like other communities, are taking advantage of those opportunities. So I definitely appreciate the high school and the entire team for continuing to push this throughout the summer and throughout the year. Get more engagement. And so connecting some thoughts. We think about all of these things and I'll capture in a few minutes and then we will be done. But just, we don't need to make things more complicated. Let's simplify it. We might be doing 10 things, saying things generally, but we really know that 5 make a difference and they make an impact. So then why are we really doing the other 5? For who, for what? If it's not making an impact on you as a teacher or supporting the classroom to make sure students are learning, and then not a direct impact on student learning, then why exactly are we doing it? There's no more time in the day. Our buckets are filled. Can't keep dipping and pouring out from somebody else's bucket, no matter how good it sounds with the little book. But this is the reality of where we are. So how do we make things more simple and less complicated? To think about our vision, I'm not expecting for you to memorize this, but I do want you to know where it is. So we think about the vision and mission that we have. What are the words? How do you put it in your own words to make sure students understand it? Again, these little pictures, just we think about our academics. I look at the district or any organization. Our business is education. Our business is to sell education, basically. When we look at these little 4 diagrams or pictures, this captures everything that we do. We talk about teamwork. Well, what is our climate and our culture? Operational effectiveness. Well, what does that look like? How are our processes? We know it was a year of transition. And there are some things that we needed to work out that we still will work out. I don't make excuses for anything, just to be clear. I haven't before, I won't now, and I won't in the future. So there are things that we can do better that I will own. We'll put things in place to make sure it continues to go in the right direction. But from perspective, this is what we're looking at. What is our institutional advancement? You all here and those in your buildings right now made a choice to come to East Hartford Public Schools. So you are the commercial for our district. You individually, each of us, myself included, we have to be the positive message that goes out. Now let's be clear, it doesn't mean we make up things and we don't tell the truth. But we always have to be honest. We always have to know what direction are we going? In which direction are we going? What does that look like? But always thinking about how are all these areas fitting together and where does my role fit as an individual part of East Hartford Public Schools in the community. So again, our focus, we talk about an entry plan. Every time we're new, we say, hey, I have this 100-day plan. My 100-day plan it's ongoing. It's forever. I think you always should be out engaging, visiting schools. A priority for me is to get into our buildings. So we have the cell phones. I can answer email there. Those things are priority. They're important. But my priority is to get into our buildings, to have a full sense of what we're doing, not to be there to check on people. So I want to be clear. Part of it is selfish. I mean, one thing, I hate sitting in my office. I can't. So that's why I had to stand over there. It's almost like game day. So, but that's what I view. I view like that's the most important part. Everything that means the most happens in our buildings. Everything else is to support what happens in our buildings. Not to do the job for someone, not to tell you how to do the job, but how do we collaborate? How do we make sure that everything is in the best interest of our students and keeping in mind, how does that impact our staff on all levels? And we can't just have things that, again, I'll use the word things because sometimes we say, and it's bright and shiny stuff. We say the right things, but what do we really mean? Again, cycle of continuous learning. That's my mindset. We're always in this. Planning, we listen, we learn, we share, we build, and then we start it all over again. And sometimes before we build, we go back and we share again. And often we have to go back and learn a little bit more. I think, again, I'm always going to say we have to be honest with ourselves as individuals. We know who we are as people. We know what our own learning style is, but it is pretty basic. But just be willing to take that step back and say, you don't have to stand up and tell the whole world that you think you are wrong. No, just demonstrate that you're willing to take the step back so we can go forward. And the impact, our competitive advantage, our return on investment, I shared these before too. It's again, rethinking what it is that we do. When we see these brands, what do we think? Dunkin' is bigger than Starbucks here, but just what's the difference? I'm not a real coffee drinker, but I don't know which one I'm going to go to. Honestly, I'm going to stop at the one that's closest if I have to. But what does that do for their marketing and their brand if that's my reason for doing it? So when we see East Hartford Public Schools, what is it that we think? What is our competitive advantage? As we got to the end of the year meeting last year, we didn't do any technical things today, so we stayed away from the videos. But when we think about sharing all of the successes or just highlighting what has come to the district, I wasn't going to take that time again and do it this morning. I can put it out in a different way. But really think about the accomplishments from staff to students as a district. A grant doesn't necessarily say, hey, you're being successful, but it does speak volumes about what is being thought of us. So for example, tomorrow we're invited to go to I always say the State House, but to the Department of Education because they're doing the official release for the state data. I can say that we did well. I don't want to get myself in trouble because I did stick a slide in here, but I remember that the data is still embargoed until tomorrow, so I can't really share it yet. But again, those are those type of things that as a district we should be proud of. We always have things that we can work on and that we can fix. But again, what's the impact on our people? The clarity, measurement, and accountability again. Being a warm demander, how we're engaging with individuals. Again, a repeat. So 2.0, warm demander 2.0. Some of us may not have caught on to it completely the first time. So let's really think about it again. And it's not about changing who you are as an individual. But it's really thinking about, again, knowing who you are as an individual. And you make some of those determinations about how we want to go into this year. So again, building relationships, believing in students. I typically don't read it to you, but I will read this piece. A leader's job is not to do the work for others. It's to help others figure out how to do it themselves, to get things done, and to succeed beyond what they thought possible. I could say, but I might get in trouble. I don't do things to get in trouble. So was it the governor from Pennsylvania, I think, when he said the GSD, I think those of you know what I know someone's thinking, I'll tell you later. But when we think about getting things done, like that's what it is. In the end, that's what it is. What does education look like? And when we talk about we're going to follow through and move on it, well, how does that feel and what does it look like? So again, communicating our expectations, offer support that's, we say scaffolded or differentiated. But then having this balanced focus. And like the other pictures, I have these roads, and I've shared this before because I look at the roads as these are us as people. Some of us are a little bumpy, some are a little bit smoother, but then we don't know what's around the corner. Some is a little bit wide open, but we need a little bit of help, and we're always willing to reach out. Some, we're on that dirt road, and we have a little ways to go. But we're honest about it, and we know what it is that we can do to make sure we're connecting with the others. So just, a couple celebratory points. We know that as we ended the year, SEBA was ranked the #1 high school in the state of Connecticut. That is one of those things for us to continue to celebrate. Recognizing, under Ms. Marion's leadership and the entire staff that's there, because we know it takes more than one person, but you have to have a leader in the building that's willing to do those things. And SEBA, it's a magnet school, but it is part of East Hartford Public Schools. And we should always celebrate all of our schools all the time. Again, just touching on, like I said, I couldn't share the other data, so I stuck this in here instead, but we'll share more. But just in terms of the dual enrollment courses that exist here at East Hartford High School, the opportunities that students have to be college ready, but then for being career ready. What does that look like? We want to make sure we look at this trajectory. There's pre-K through 12 trajectory to ensure that parents, we don't want to rush their child's academic career or rush them as a parent. We want them to understand in grade 12, these are the options you're going to have. In grade 9, this is what we're expecting. When you transition from 5th grade to 6th grade, this is what we're expecting. And so I think the more conversations like that, when we talk about true buy-in and building a level of trust and community, that's the direction that we want to continue to go in. Again, the celebratory points, and like I said, we have a little bit extra time. But as we close, it is, honestly, it is humbling to be here again. And I can say that every year because that's how I view it. To have the opportunity to serve as your superintendent, to serve in a place where, we had many meetings in here as a student in this building, growing up in East Hartford. And, people will say, well, how is the summer and how is it being back? The first thing I say is, well, the job is the job. None of these jobs are easy. Your job is not easy. I look at, we're all in this together. But when we truly look at why we're doing it, that speaks above anything else. And having that opportunity to be here with you again this year, again, the easy word is to say it's humbling. I look forward to having a great year. Look forward to seeing more of you this year. And sometimes it's a little bit tight. I'm going to spend more time in buildings that we kind of deviated a little bit from last year. But just because I'm here more don't think there's anything wrong. Because sometimes you see certain people and say, hey, what's going on? No. Again, I'd rather be here than in my office. So kind of think of it like that. But again, here's to a great year. Thank you very much.